Okay, let me start by asking you 3 hard-hitting questions, and you will tell me which one is not like the other. How do we solve poverty? When will we have world peace? And what is a furry? Which of these questions is different? None of them. They're all completely impossible to answer. Now, I'm not saying that I have no idea what a furry is, but what does the word furry even mean? Wikipedia says what a furry may refer to, but it doesn't even give a real distinct answer. Also, apparently it could mean a physicist. Lols. So let's dissect the word furry so that we all go into this video with the same idea. So a furry, by most people's standards, is a being that is half human and half some other kind of animal, also known as anthropomorphic. It doesn't even have to be furry like this one that actually doesn't even have fur, so I don't even know why they chose that word. So you've got that, but then you also have people saying, "Hello, I'm Alan, I'm a furry, and today I'm gonna tell you how to tell your parents you're a furry." Okay, now my idea of the word is totally thrown off. This is a human who may dress up like an anthro, but still acknowledges that he or she is a human. Which I'm not saying is bad, even if you thought you were an actual anthro. I mean, might be a little confused, but why call yourself a furry just because you like furries? The word can't have 2 meanings, or, well, people like me get confused. So why not call yourself a furry fan? You're a fan of furries. That doesn't make you a furry. If all words had that logic, then I would be a Nintendo 64 video game console, because I'm a big fan of that specific system. So I guess I now identify as one, so that's nice. And again, I'm talking about if you actually think you're a human, but you call yourself a furry just because you're a fan of it. I'm not talking about people who identify as actual furries. That's a whole different topic.
On all levels except physical, I am a wolf.
But to be fair, maybe they don't call themselves furry fans, because even that doesn't make any sense. Because apparently if you're called a furry just for being a fan of a furry, then a lot of people who didn't even know it are furries, including me. I'm a huge fan of the Star Fox series and of Fox McCloud, who is an anthro, which technically by the internet's terms would be a furry, and since I'm a fan of him, that would make me a furry fan, and so I'm put in a category with people who go to furry cons and wear fursuits. Now, not saying there's anything wrong with that, but why am I being put in that category when I'm clearly not that person and yet fit the logical description of a furry fan? See, the terminology doesn't make any sense, and just to be clear, nothing in this video that I've said so far is against the furry fandom, it's just against ridiculous internet classifications and terminology. How exciting! I'm sure that's why you came to this video. The word furry can be an adjective, as in a furry dog, a noun, as in an anthro is a furry, and apparently an identity, as in I am a furry. So yeah, see why I'm confused? Why can't people just call anthros, anthro fans, and people who wear fursuits, people who wear fursuits?
Or people!
Okay, so let's just get past the wording until it bothers me again. I personally have nothing against furries, if we're gonna call them that. The anthros can be cute. The part about people dressing up in suits is really strange to me, but harmless in the end. And the people are, well, they're people. Some good, some bad.
People!
Now, I guess I should address the elephant in the room before we continue.
You mean the fact that your co-host is a furry?
You're not a furry, you're an anthro. And you're not even an anthro. You're a cardboard.
Actually, I'm also 0.05% marker. Please address me correctly or I'll file for harassment.
The elephant in the room, obviously, the dark, mature side of the fandom. Yes, it exists. As it exists in other fandoms like Sonic or Splatoon or pretty much every fandom ever. I'll say the same thing I said in my Sonic fandom video. Dark sides come with any series. And yes, I know that it's very notorious in the furry fandom, worse than most, but what do you want me to say? It can be messed up. I'm not going to talk much on that for this video, and there's really more to the fandom than just that.
Well, now you're seeming like a bit of a suck-up, probably because you don't want to lose your viewers who are furries.
Okay, let's move to something I don't like about this fandom.
Well, now you're sounding like a bit of a suck-up. Probably because you want to make your viewers who hate furries happy.
What do you want from me? One thing about this fandom that really bugs me, and of course nothing is black and white, and I know that this is only some furry fans, is when they treat the word furry as if it's an identity. Is it really that big a deal that you like anthropomorphic characters? Let's be honest, in the end, being a furry is just liking anthros to whatever extent you like them, a lot or a little. Isn't that the same as any other fandom? When I started playing Sonic games back in the day, I didn't feel the need to call my parents into my room and say, "Mom, Dad, I like Sonic games. Please don't exile me to planet Mars." Why don't I feel the need to do that? Because they just say, so? Really, so many furry fans feel like they're discriminated upon, and that they're hated unjustly, and should be ashamed to be a furry, and rightfully so. The internet is very one-sided, and it likes to label people. It's unfair, and the furries do get a lot of hate, and some who don't deserve it. But when you treat something as simple as being a fan of something, as if it's a big deal as changing religions, then what do you expect?
How to tell everyone that, well, you're a furry.
When you make a big deal of something and alienate yourself from the norm unnecessarily, people will see it as a big deal and the discrimination will be there. It's just like with the brony fandom, and yes, we're going there. If all the adult male fans of My Little Pony Friendship is Magic just said, "Oh, I'm a big fan of the show," which is perfectly fine in my opinion, then there would be so much less hate and disgust towards them. But just like the furries, they had to go out and give themselves a special name, the bronies, as if to say it's more than just a fandom, it's a lifestyle, or how I identify. No wonder they get classified, labeled, and alienated, because they alienate themselves. Could be for attention, who knows. And again, what frustrates me is the fact that people do this, not the people who do it. I have nothing against them. Now, some of you may bring up the point that, hey, maybe bronies and furries didn't make up those names. Maybe the internet just decided to start calling them that. And hey, maybe that's true. I wouldn't really know. But I do know for a complete fact that whether they made it up or not, bronies are calling themselves bronies and furries are calling themselves furries. They've adopted those terms that were given mostly to identify the creepy side of the fandom, and now they get upset when the name furry or brony is seen as a big thing, and then newcomers to the fandom adopt the term since everyone else is using them, and it just becomes a massive snowball of misconception. And it bugs me for some reason. This is the one thing in this video that you will find me very opinionated on, and it's just the wording and the self-name calling. It seems counterproductive, but that being said, it's nothing against the furries, just the internet in general, so don't get that confused. Cause let's all be honest, if bronies were just called My Little Pony Friendship is Magic fans, and furry fans just said that they like anthro characters, like every other fandom, there would be little to no hate towards them, or at least they wouldn't be labeled. Now for the most part, I'm baffled by the labeling and classification, but that's not what people really came here for, is it? You're probably getting very frustrated by my impartiality on this subject. No, people came here for the meat of this video, not me beating around the bush and talking about phrases that bug me. No, why the furries do what they do. What do they do? And do I think it's dumb? Do I think it's fantastic? Do I think it's cringy? Can I even use the word cringe without being cringy myself? Is that a cringy paradox of some sort? Cringeception? Either way, we're getting into the meat of this video. And at this point, I'm really regretting calling it the meat, because it just sounds weird. So what are some of the main features of a furry? Well, just by looking at the majority, or the more well-known part of the furry fandom, they like anthros, often have full bodysuits called fursuits, go to conventions with other furries, make a lot of fan art, which is pretty normal enough. Furries, as a noun, are anthro animals and normally follow a certain style of appearance. Crazy colors, big eyes, and normally don't wear much clothes, which is, I mean, it's kind of awkward. It's also a very notorious art subject. I remember back in my day, before I knew what the furry fandom was, I just saw some amazing artists upload some really cute looking fan art, and I thought nothing more of it. Kinda shows how the people of the internet make things seem so odd when it really isn't that big a deal, as seen in this case. Of course, just this case, it can be pretty odd, and a big deal. Another common furry thing is that pretty much everybody has a fursona, which is just a twist on words mixing the word furry and persona, which persona, by the way, is just short for personality, but for some reason people think it's a character. I don't even know. Don't get me started on internet terms again. A fursona is a made-up anthro character, and normally you could get your fursuit made of it, get people to draw it. Those seem the most common uses. It's odd, because when you look into it, the furry fandom is kind of fascinating in the sense that it's a fandom like Sonic or Star Fox, which people make original characters for. Only thing is, the furry fandom doesn't have a universe or base like the Sonic games or cartoons. It's just its own made-up thing, floating around in the air. And yet most furries still make their fursonas look the same. Why? Who first made up this design that has created such a cult following? To find out where it all started, I had to travel back to East India, where— No, I have no way of knowing how it all started, and honestly that's not the point of this video. This isn't an origin story, and of course I'm not going to East India. I don't even leave my room. If you do want a better origin story, then check out the gamer from Mars, who did a pretty good analysis of the origin of furries. Let's be honest, if you say that you're a furry, people assume you dress up in fursuits and had to come out and tell everybody that you like cartoon animals as if you're leaving the country, but probably the majority of furry fans pretty much did what I did, just really like an anthro character and drew it a ton, maybe collected merchandise of it, and was overall just a big fan. But they call themselves furries, despite not doing the things that most people expect furries to do. See, this is a great example of how multi-sided and diverse the fandom, just like any other fandom, really is. Nobody wants to make cringe compilations on some normal people making normal fan art. That's just boring, so of course we see the cringy, weird side of things, because that's what people want to see. That's what's more interesting. So let's give this entire fandom a review as a whole, if you can even review a fandom. Is it extremely dangerous? Is it harmful to the entirety of the internet and everyone it touches? And should it be quarantined from the rest of the internet on a distant planet? No, it's actually completely harmless, and I'm not even joking. Okay, the furry fandom is just people who like anthropomorphic animals. That's really it. Why they label themselves? I don't know. All the fursuit-wearing fans are just furries who wear fursuits, and all the creepy fans are just, well, they're creepy fans. But in the end, the base of the fandom, those who like anthros, are absolutely, completely harmless. Now I know what a lot of you are thinking. Oh, Peter, you can't just say that. They're all the same thing. When you say you're giving your opinion on the furry fandom, you're giving your opinion of the fandom as a complete whole. No, that's the one-sidedness I'm talking about. Sure, I can get confused by the word furry, but listen, there's no universal furry fandom. There's these furry fans and those furry fans, and despite being incorrect grammar, there's them furry fans. Some bad, some good. What do you want me to say? The bad is bad, and the good is good. Oh, another exciting video from Peter Connetter.
Dude, you're being anticlimactic.
Anticlimactic? Well, then we'll just spice things up by saying something controversial and edgy. Your mom's a mom. Stay tuned for the next What's Up With video where we take a look at the long-requested Sonic Boom and Sonic Universe comic books coming soon. And if you like this music, don't forget to check out its creator, DJ BaseFox28. His channel and my Twitter, where I post updates and other crud, are in the description down below. Unless YouTube changes the description's location to somewhere else. I wouldn't be surprised, honestly, with all the things they're changing lately. Anyway, thanks for watching, and as always, have yourselves a wonderful day.